Hello everyone, I'm the developer behind The Legend of You, and today we're going to play through one or two battles, kind of see where we can get. We're going to start off with a new story here. Let's tell the story of Conan. It's Conan, right? So let's say he's a stylish male barbarian for sure. When you play, you have a choice between a whole bunch of different classes. The differences here is kind of basically what weapons your unit is going to have. Similarly, the different styles that you pick have different perks. You can kind of see this down at the bottom here. Clairvoyant, you get to have different treasure chests that have a chance to appear in maps. Thrifty, you get extra gold, and prices are reduced. Lucky just gives you some bonuses to dice rolls in various places. Stylish here means we start the game with some extra equipment. Let's see, what do we lead? I think we're going to lead a seasoned company, probably. I think that makes the most sense for Conan here. We're going to lead them through the Radiant, let's go Ancient Forest. That's going to be our quest today. Now we're going to get to pick some of the difficulty modifiers here. Basically, this is kind of different permadeath, not permadeath, something kind of in the middle. You get big debuff if a unit dies, but they're not gone forever. Here we're going to play on the hardest difficulty for the demo. Basically, this is going to give units kind of the most stat bonuses, and then this choice here we'll put different random modifiers on every map. So we'll see what some of those look like in a little bit. We're going to be searching for the ordinarily common lost. Let's go Lost Emblem. The treasure that you choose also kind of plays into the difficulty a little bit. If you pick these different options, which you unlock later in the game, you get different stat buffs. This will help on the harder difficulties, give you a little bit of an edge there. The realm is in upheaval as tension escalates between, let's see, what do we want to choose here? Let's go magic and technology. I think we're going to make our Conan here focus on technology and maybe stay away from the magic events. But beware, the treasure is guarded by let's go Cuddly Goblin King. Why not? You get to kind of pick what boss you want to fight and some modifiers that apply to that boss. So the cuddly one here has the boss reflecting damage. There's a whole bunch of other different options that you can pick to kind of change the way that the final boss fight works. And so with that, we've kind of got our story set up. We're able to kind of adjust a whole lot of different things, set up some parameters. The idea hopefully being that each run is pretty unique. So with that, we'll get started here. You see the world map here on the left. We're going from the bottom up to the top to fight the boss. We've got a whole bunch of battles along the way. On the right is kind of the journal that plays out as we go through and do these different things. So we decided to fight the Goblin King, and so we can kind of see here the story writing out about what's going on and kind of setting up the situation here to charge and fight the Goblin King. Before we go into battle, though, there's a whole bunch of different stuff on the side that we can do. One of the big ones is we want to go over to the shop here. We can purchase some different items. We can recruit somebody. So if we go back to the units that we have so far, we've got a chaplain, which is kind of a healer and defensive character. We've got the marshal, which is more offensive, but also has a little bit of defense. And then Conan, our barbarian here, who's pretty much full-out offense. So I think it could be helpful if we get a bit of a support character here. Chronicler will probably work out. Tome has a lot of good support. Flask has some good support. We could also go a little bit heavier on the offense and recruit the Raider here. But let's go ahead and pick up some support. We did pick Stylish, so we get to start off with a couple of different relics here. Let's go ahead and equip those. They have a whole bunch of different effects. The basic ones aren't super detailed, but some of the legendary relics give pretty game changing effects here. So we're gonna put the toy gun here over on our barbarian, a little bit more damage. You get to move earlier in the turn order. Our marshal is gonna play as our tank, and so we're gonna give him the hard hat here, which gives him a little bit of defense and reflects damage. Should also probably give him the shield. The 5-pound weight here just gives a little bit of extra strength. We'll put that on our damage dealer. And we've got a whole bunch of different items. This is a rune of protection that gives some shielding. We'll put that on our support character. We've got a couple of bombs here, a potion. The Phoenix Up is our resurrection item. We'll grab that too. Let's see, grab the speed potion here just in case we need that. And then the last thing here, we have a snowball, just does a little bit of magic damage. Why not? You want to use your items, so don't go hoarding. At each new tier, there'll be new items available, so you want to go ahead and use those as often as possible. Now let's go back to the shop and check out if there's anything that we want to purchase here. We should probably go ahead and spend our starting gold. At the very least, grab a couple extra potions as we use up the ones that we just got. We'll grab one of these. So the relics we have here aren't super useful for the build we're going. We're not going to probably do a lot of dark damage. We've already got a toy gun. Loot box is kind of a chance-based one. Could be useful, but I think I might just re-roll. Actually, let's grab the courage potion. That's good for our tank. Gives them some damage mitigation. Let's go ahead and re-roll the shop here, see what we got. We got some more good tanking relics. Already have the hard hat. Let's see, the crystallized snowflake, also a more tanky relic. Reduces damage taken when you're on frozen terrain. Snowballs can create frozen terrain, so there's some synergy there. Definitely want to get another rune of protection, maybe another potion. Let's see, the net's always good. Kind of limit enemy, get them stuck in place for a turn. Why don't we buy the snowflake just in case, and go back to the items here. Chaplain, we'll put this on because they've got the snowball. Definitely want to use that rune. Maybe instead of the speed potion, we'll use this. And we can definitely save some items for our next battle as well. Next, we're going to go up to the status page real quick. Basically, everybody starts the game with one skill point here. So we're going to want to go ahead and do that. Thinking our barbarian here wants to go full offense. So let's pick some of these aggression nodes to increase the damage. You can also auto level up here if you want. So maybe we'll have our marshal here be more on the support side because he's going to be a bit more of a tank. And then we have our chaplain, who also is probably going to split between healing and dealing damage. So let's see, let's give him, maybe a split between the aggression and some vitality, which helps healing over here. Then our chronicler is going to be more on the support side, so we can easily just say they're going to do support stuff. We don't have any talents unlocked yet. We'll unlock those as we level up, so not a whole lot to do on this side. On the formation side, we can kind of change where we appear in battle. If we want, we can probably move the caster maybe a little bit to the back here. Have our more melee units up front. You can see a whole bunch of stats. We haven't had a battle yet, so there's nothing there, but that will fill out as you go through the game. Actually, let's go back here. Maybe do a little bit of customization before we get in. This is our marshal. Why don't we make him look a little bit more like a tank? Here we can give him a fancier helmet there, maybe some spiky shoulder pads. That sounds good. Now we know that Garen here is going to be our tank. Alright, now let's go back to the game. Each of these different icons kind of represents one of the battles. So the sword and shield here is kind of a basic defeat all enemies type battle. The portal here means we have to kind of attack a portal unit that's constantly summoning enemies in order to win the battle. You can also see here is where the difficulty modifiers show up. So you can see, let's see, there's an icy wind that deals damage to player units every turn. Enemies have increased healing. All our units will be debuffed with phobia. which means they'll do less damage when they're near other units. Enemies will take less damage when they get to low HP, and they'll also explode when they are defeated. So which modifiers are on each map is random. So you can kind of look through and decide, well, maybe one of these battles looks easier or harder than another one. You also want to look at the path that you're going down, what kind of battles you'll be fighting, what kind of modifiers are on each of these. And so, the Skull here is a mini-boss battle. So I might look at this and decide, oh, this is going to be really tough. Maybe I don't want to go down this path. Maybe I want to go down this path because there's the treasure battle that we can get here. There's one after the mini-boss as well, so you kind of need to decide, which path they want to go down, and there's generally a good amount of being able to cross back and forth, and we kind of want to make our way up to the top here. So why don't we start with a more basic kind of defeat all of the enemies type map. Look at this one real quick. We have meteors falling towards player units. Environment can catastrophically change. Ooh, that'll be fun. Exhausted, enemies deal more damage when you're at high health, and player units are affected by a witch curse. Okay, those are some tough ones, but let's go ahead and give this one a shot. So we're going to move into this battle. And now, before we start, we get to decide kind of how we want our story to play out. So I am playing Conan the Barbarian, so I feel like what he really cares about is fighting the goblins and destroying them. And to him, the Goblin King is really the only important thing. And so we're going to focus on the Goblin King and defeating him. As you go throughout the game, you'll be presented with a handful of these decisions where you get to kind of pick what path you want to go down, and they're pretty different from each other. So you really get to decide like how you want your story to unfold, with the idea being that two players playing the game would kind of run into completely different stories as they go through and make different decisions. All right, so we've got the battle starting now. You can see that the meteors just rained down, did a whole bunch of damage to us, and we are kind of in our formation here with a bunch of enemies that have spawned. Now our goal is to kill those enemies. There's a whole lot of other stuff we can do on the map. You can see there's these keeps. If you go and have a unit move into them, you'll be able to visit, and there'll be a text-based event. There's some treasure chests to get. There may be other things that spawn on the map. So this meadow that we have here, if we kind of explore all the different tiles that it takes up, there's one of them that has its own little event. If I can find it, right here. So if we move to this tile, we will have the ability to frolic. That's another text-based event, but let's maybe not do that while we have some enemies right on top of us. If you notice, there's also these quest boards that if you go to, you can get little mini quests. Completing those will give you items and money, so we'll want to do that. In addition, all of the terrain have different effects, right? So this is just grass. Kind of doesn't do much, but if you look at the forest, you get a little bit of defense bonus. If you look at the hills, you get a critical hit bonus if you stand in there. The mountains give you even more of a defense bonus. If you're standing in the water, you get a huge defense penalty. So you want to have your people positioned well, and it can be a big deal. So we'll keep that in mind as we're playing here. So we're starting with our barbarian, mostly because he has that extra initiative from the items that he's using. We're going to probably try and move him down here. Let's use our bomb because items, again, are very strong. And then we will start to use some of our attacks here. Your basic attacks will generate energy, and then you use that energy to use your more special attacks. Each turn you can attack with both of your equipped weapons. So in this case, our barbarian has a sword and an axe. So I just attacked with the axe. Now I'm going to attack with the sword. And because my axe attack generated energy, I can now use one of my stronger attacks here with the sword to do a little bit more damage and start to bring this nomad here down. All right, now it's our support player's turn. So we're not exactly sure what the enemies are going to do, and so I think we're going to want to pull back here and let's use Invigorating Tonic, which will heal our barbarian over here. And then at the same time, let's get some shields up on the rest of the team. As you can see at the top, the enemy is about to get a turn. And as you'll see, they do quite a bit of damage. And so tanking and supporting is just as important as dealing damage here. So you can see that guy came in and hit us there. Cultist attacked the barbarian. All right, and so now we're on to our chaplain's turn. Chaplain is kind of a split between support and damage, and he also wants to stay on these frozen tiles. So if you look at his crystallized snowflake relic that he has equipped, he takes less damage while standing on frozen terrain. Frozen terrain is something that you can create with stuff like the snowball. If I throw that at something, it will hit them, do some damage, create frozen terrain. There's also seasons in the game, so as we progress through summer, we'll wind up in winter, where all of the terrain will be frozen. But for now, it's just kind of the frozen terrain that we're able to make. Again, by using the snowball, and the relic itself will create frozen terrain at the start of each turn. So we're going to want to kind of keep this guy around there. So because he is a kind of half support, half attacker, we'll get some damage in on this guy. Not a whole lot, but move up here and then put up a heal on ourselves. Now we have our Marshal, who is going to be one of our more tanky characters. Let's see. He's going to start by putting up taunting bolts, which is going to make his regular attacks taunt enemies. And then let's see. This guy I think is let's look at the turn order. Okay, so you're going to get a turn first. The Nomad is going to get a turn after that. So let's try and see if we can't kill this Nomad before he gets a turn. So we're going to come in here, attack. We'll apply taunt to him. Now that it's a new turn, all of the different effects that happen per turn happen again. So you saw that there was meteors that flew down. We had an earthquake kind of happen down here. This makes terrain that's pretty hard to pass through. So as you play, the kind of map will evolve over time, and you'll have to kind of deal with that. Again, here we're going to want to try and kill this Nomad before he gets a turn. So similar to before, I think we're just going to use a basic attack here. That was able to kill him, and we got a little bit of energy, so we can kind of move down. We're going to go in the forest here, so we get a little bit of defense bonus. We don't have the energy to do anything else, so we're just going to do another basic attack here. Oh, and he's attacking us as well, and you can see that did a pretty substantial portion of our health. So we do need to be careful, and ideally want to try to taunt enemies and keep them attacking our tank, and not so much on the other units. So again here we're going to just attack to build up a little bit of energy. We're going to move him over here so that he's on a frozen mountain. That's kind of his best defensive scenario. Going to try to heal up our barbarian friend over here. Now we're back to the tank. So let's see. This guy is not taunted. We definitely want him to be taunted. So let's use our crossbow attack. Get a taunt over there, so he should be coming after us. This guy is also going to get a turn, and this is great. So we get to move on the mountain, we get the defensive buff, we get to do some damage here, and now we're going to also taunt this guy. So now most of the enemies are going to be focusing on our tank over here, which is perfect. He's able to tank pretty well. You can see he's able to defend. He had the absorb shield from before, so he's doing pretty good. We're also going to want to try to kill this other guy here. So let's see. Let's move you down onto a nice defensive spot. Actually, we can undo at any time. So hitting escape, you can kind of go back to wherever you were. So don't feel like once you've made a move, if you've done something wrong, you've got the opportunity to fix that. We're going to go down here. We're going to try to heal our barbarian a little bit more, and then move into the defensive terrain, and we're going to use Word of Pain over on this guy. That's going to make him take extra damage when he's attacked. Hopefully that'll help bring him down a little bit faster. Back to the barbarian. All right, he's kind of hurt now, so I think we're going to use Vampiric Strike. That's going to deal a little bit of damage, but also heal us. And then we can see that the Word of Pain that we put up before is also dealing damage. So we're hopefully going to be able to chew through this guy relatively quickly. You also notice that there are special actions that we have over here. We can use these independent of our two weapon actions. In this case, Crimson Zeal will deal damage to all bleeding units. So there's not much of a reason not to use it. Just get a little bit of extra damage here to the different bleeding units. And then we're going to attack with our Reeve. Deal some damage, generate some energy. All right, it's the enemy's turn. All right, they're hitting the tank, which is what we want. But we do also want to make sure the tank stays alive. So let's go in here and heal up our tank a little bit. And then we've got a little bit of energy, so I think we're going to use our Axe Hurl ability. This does quite a bit of damage, but it also applies Weaken to the caster, and so that will lower your damage for the next couple of turns. But we're trying pretty hard to bring this guy down as quick as possible. Alright, now we are back to our Marshal. I think he is going to want to... Let's see, if we move back one, we can attack this guy. That means that now all of the targets are taunt. No, that's the taunts wore off, actually. Okay, we need to reapply the taunt to these guys. So we did just apply taunt to this guy. So he's going to attack the tank, which is good. This guy could do a lot of damage, so we do want to get him taunted. And there we go, he is now taunted again. Alright, we've got our support character again here. I think everybody's doing all right. We're going to put another shield up on this guy. And then I think go in and try to kill this one. Okay, we won't quite get there. If we get a high damage roll with the Word of Pain, we might be able to kill it. Not quite, but getting close. Alright, our tank is continuing to tank over here. And because he's on this mountain, he's actually doing a pretty good job. He's defending a lot of the incoming attacks. Now we are back to our Barbarian here. He has another special ability available. Adrenaline Burst gives you a little bit of damage, a little bit of movement, a little bit of energy, all great stuff. Let's get that on. We want to be able to kill this guy and hopefully get some good damage to the other one as well. So Double Strike I think is our best damaging move at the moment. Let's hit that into this guy. Oh, we got a crit. Not quite enough to kill him, but we're getting pretty close there. Now, both of these enemies are pretty low. I could throw a bomb here and kill both of them, but also damage my own unit. So probably not going to do that. Instead, let's see. Okay, yes, this one should kill that guy. It should actually... No, it will only kill this one if we get a crit. So I think I'm going to go for the guaranteed kill over here. Oh, no, he defended. It did not quite kill him. Left him with 1 health. All right. Well played, AI, well played. But luckily we have another person's turn, so we're going to come in here and let's actually finish the job. Alright, that guy is now down. Okay, I think we're going to do some AoE healing here just to get everybody else up. Let's see, can we kill the Savage? Gets a turn soon. I think we'll be able to kill him. Let's see, let's use our Word of Fire here, get some energy. Alright, he's down to 13 health. Let's see, I think this should be able to kill him. Yes, 19 to 33. Let's just hope he doesn't defend. Alright, we brought that guy down. As you can see, our goal is to defeat the enemies on the map, so we need to kill 3 more. We'll start here by shooting this guy. Put up Sunder and Taunts, that's really useful. This guy's special ability, Rally, does a little bit of healing, a bit of cleansing, which we don't need, but also applies Inspire. So that means our Barbarian will do more damage. It's kind of exactly what we want. Let's go and pick up this loot bag. We found a bomb and a Rune of Protection. Awesome. That will replenish some of the items that we've been using so far. Let's see, we're about half health, so I think I'm going to go ahead and Vampiric Strike this guy. We're a little bit at the mop-up stage at this point. I don't think this one last enemy is going to have a whole lot to do, but just go ahead and bring him down pretty quickly. Alright, we are still taking some damage from the meteors, so we want to make sure that we kind of keep everybody topped off. We'll throw a heal over there. We'll use the Flask special, which is a pretty big heal, onto this guy. And just keep whittling down this enemy here until he's down. Alright, this might be enough to do it. Yes, as long as we don't see a defend, I think that will... Oh, we did get another defend. Well played, AI, again. But we do have another action here, and so hopefully this... Ooh, it's going to be close. Is that going to be enough to bring him down? It was. Alright. So we've killed our first group of enemies. Now we're going to move across the map and engage the second group of enemies here to the right. But before we do that, we're going to kind of go around and explore a little bit of what this map has to offer. while kind of keeping our units healed up from all the meteors and stuff that's flying around. So let's go look at the quest we have here. It's asking us to venture to have 2-player units with at least one of the following buffs at the same time. Alright, so we're going to try to buff ourselves. We may not actually have the ability to do that yet, but no problem. The quests do stick around for a little bit, so we have a chance to maybe try and do them in a later battle. Let's see, this one is a quest to debuff enemies. Okay, so kind of inverse of the other one. We will keep moving up this way. Let's see, let's have you move over to maybe the house over there. We're going to want to try to heal the chip damage coming in from the meteors. And now we were going to, yes, the meadow over here. Let's frolic through the meadow and see what we're able to do. So as we step into the fairy petal glade, the gentle scent of flowers fills the air. There, vibrant colors stretching out before you. A single blue butterfly, its wings glimmering in the sunlight, flutters gracefully among the petals, drawing your eyes with a hypnotic dance. Now, the different things that we're able to do are based on the choices when we set up our story. So if we were to have been one of the dark classes, which is kind of the assassin, the raider, the inquisitor, we'd have the option to crush the butterfly, but we didn't pick that, so that's not an option that we have. There's also one if we were lucky, if we were clairvoyant, if we were leading a coven, if we had a merry party, or if we were leading a troop. Unfortunately, I didn't pick any of those, and so our kind of only option here is to ignore the butterfly and keep walking through the meadow. The meadow stretches before you, a sea of vibrant flowers swaying gently in the breeze. The sun filters through the trees, casting a soft golden light over the landscape. The air is thick with the scent of wildflowers, and the serene beauty of the meadow feels almost otherworldly, as if time itself has slowed just for this moment. Okay, now I have a couple of other options of what we want to do. We could send our company to secure the area and investigate for resources. Now we can do that because we are leading a company. We can't gather the flowers because we're not thrifty. We could dig through the overgrown grass and uncover old stonework beneath the meadow because we picked an ancient map. We can't search the rocky outcrop because we're not on a rocky map. We could use the field for combat drills because we picked being a barbarian. We could turn our attention back to the butterfly and kind of get the choices that we saw before. So we've got a couple of different options that we can do here. I think sending the company to secure the area and investigate for resources sounds like fun, so let's go ahead and do that. So as we do that, our company collects a handful of rare and valuable flowers that can be used to make potions. So it looks like we'll get some money out of that. So that was worth doing. We got 104 gold. That'll certainly be useful for later. So definitely make sure to kind of explore the map, see the different things that you can do, because generally they're going to be helpful. That being said, there are some events that will be negative or present you with options that are both positive and negative, so you need to be a little bit careful on going to the events, but generally they are net positives overall. So for now, we're just going to continue exploring the map here. Again, dealing with the meteors that fall on us every turn. It's a lot faster to move through the roads, so you can kind of see that as we look to the different areas that we can move to. Let's kind of heal these guys up as we go through here. Moving towards the treasure chest over there. I think this guy is going to move down to this village over here. And our marshal here just kind of needs to catch up with everybody else. He does have a little bit lower movement. Alright, we can reach the chest here with the barbarians. Let's go ahead and open that. Found a concussion grenade and an eternal orb. Awesome, we'll take those. Those will be useful after the battle and going into our next battles. Alright, this guy is moving forward. Same over here. We're just going to keep moving up. Let's see, let's just top this guy up as we go. Alright, you're going to move forward as well. Actually, can we? Yeah, we can do a cheeky little heal over here. And maybe give him a shield too, why not? Alright, we got some more meteors crashing down, continue to do damage. Awesome, we can reach this castle, so let's go ahead and visit. All right, we got a technology event. Awesome. We enter a room filled with distilling equipment and beakers containing liquids of every color imaginable. You can identify an energy potion, a concoction, and a tincture, but the rest of the potions are unfamiliar. All right, so we have the options. We could take the potions that we know are safe and leave. We can maybe search the lab. We could drink some random potions if that's what we're feeling. In an orderly fashion, we could have each party member drink some of the potions. So that's kind of the company option there. It's going to apply a whole bunch of random effects that may or may not be good. Why don't we search the lab a little bit? We step cautiously around the abandoned lab, the air thick with dust and faint smell of strange chemicals. Glass vials and potions of every color clutter the shelves. Scattered around the room are particular devices, wires, documents, and symbols you don't recognize. All right, well, we don't have the ability to search through the lab's books because we're not playing one of the knowledge classes, but we could see some ancient notes. We could just start smashing things because, we are a mighty barbarian. This place is a mess. Maybe we want to rearrange the lab into a more presentable display because we're a stylish character. For me, that sounds great. Let's make this room look a little bit better. Why don't we pick that one? You can't help yourself. You begin sorting vials by color, stacking books by size, and wiping down the dusty workbenches. As you move a particularly unsightly pile of debris, something glints beneath the rubble. Oh, and we find a hard hat buried under layers of neglect. Well, that's nice. We do already have one of those, but awesome. Why not? Get another one. We could always sell it if we don't want to use it. All right, as we kind of edge closer here to the enemies, actually, we want you to go down here towards this other event. Give yourself a little shield from the meteors. All right, let's get you moving into position down here. I'm going to want you moving into position. You can see if the arrow for the movement range turns red, that is going to aggro the enemies here. So if I were to move into this, now we've got these enemies to fight. I can always undo and escape back from that, just in case I did that before I was ready. But you can just kind of visually see that this is going to engage the enemies, and if I move where the arrow is black, it will not. So let's just heal ourselves up before we start the battle here. Let's see, it's another turn, so we've got the environment changing and some meteors falling down. All right, why don't we move ourselves into position on the road here? He doesn't really have anything else to do. All right, we'll come down and visit the village here. All right, you come across a small, unstable portal that beckons towards the unknown. It shimmers in an unpredictable pattern, but with each cycle, the portal grows smaller and smaller. It doesn't look like it will last much longer. All right, what do we want to do here? Well, we can't reach our hand inside. That requires being a stalwart party. We're not a holy character, so we can't do a holy chant to close the portal. We're also not a dark character, so we're not going to be embracing our darkest thoughts. But we do have the option here to try to calculate the rate of collapse and try to figure out what's going on with the portal here. Or we could just swing our weapon at the portal in case something dangerous is coming out. Or we have this little option down here to throw a relic in. Who knows what might happen if we do that. So let's give it a try. All right, we rummaged through our inventory looking for something to throw in the portal. All right, we've got a couple of options here. On second thought, maybe I don't want to actually do this. No, I think I'm on board with doing this. Let the council decide what to throw in. Well, we're not leading a council, so that's not an option. We could throw in our eternal orb, or we could toss our hard hat into the portal that we just got. Well, luckily for us, we already had a hard hat, so I don't think we necessarily need a second one. So let's go ahead and toss that into the portal and see what happens. All right, the hard hat disappears completely. After a moment, the portal shimmers brighter than before, and with a resounding crack, an infused bracer spits out from the portal just as it closes permanently. All right, so we went from a hard hat to the infused bracers here. This one lets you do some more magic and physical damage. Maybe that'll be a little bit more useful. We'll see. All right, so again, we're going to put up a little shield here before the meteors come in. And let's see, I think we're just about ready to engage. We've got most of our units in position here. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Let's see, who's going to have a turn first? Okay, the nomad back here is going to have a turn. So maybe we hold off a little bit in going in, and he might not be able to reach us quite yet. Let's see, if we move in here, we can move back a little bit. Or we can just move back onto the mountain here, get a little bit of extra critical strike chance. See if we can't get a crit on that heal. Didn't matter anyway. Alright, so you're going to just go ahead and end your turn here because there's nothing else in range. Alright, the Nomad came in. Now we've got our tank moving in. We're going to put up our taunting bolts again just so we can start taunting some enemies. You just took your turn, so you're probably not going to get to go again for a little bit. Let's see. This guy moves first, so we're going to move into the defensive terrain here, do our little basic attack over here, generate some energy, put up a taunt, and now deal with the meteors coming in again. Now we've got our barbarian. Let's see, let's move him in. These enemies are in a perfect position to throw a bomb at them. And again, the items do not take up one of your actions for the turn, so go ahead and use an item, one of both of your weapon actions, and a special action in the same turn. Try to get the most value out of turns as you can. So here we're going to attack this guy. Oh, it looks like we put enough debuffs on him to complete the quest. Yes, because he is now both taunted and bleeding. So that gave us a little bit of gold and a speed potion for completing that notice board request. So let's keep going, keep pumping the damage in here. Alright, starting to get that guy low. Now we've got our support character. Let's kind of bring you up. I think we're going to want to start with a shield on the tank. And let's see, we're not really needing any healing here, so let's go ahead and get a little bit more damage in on this guy. Throw an acid flask at him. Ooh, that guy came in, and yeah, he did quite a lot of damage to our support character there, so we do got to be a little bit careful. I think right now, let's see, we're going to want to, let's put up suppressive fire on this guy. That's going to apply expose and taunt. And then I think we're also going to want to move down here and taunt the Nomad. So spreading the taunts around, trying to get the enemies off of attacking our more squishy characters. Let's see, let's move in here. You definitely took some damage. All right, let's put our refresh or renew up on this guy, get him healed, and then maybe up here, get a little axe attack in. Actually, you know what? I'm a little bit worried because he took so much damage. Let's go ahead and just give him the potion. And then we'll move up here and get a little axe attack in. Alright, we got the Nomad attacking the tank just like we wanted. Oh, this guy was not taunted. And again, ouch, does quite a lot of damage to our barbarian there. The meteor almost finished him off. Not quite. Luckily, he's got a turn. We're going to definitely go ahead and use that potion. Now let's see. Oh, the earthquake here knocked down the trees, so that's something to note. We'll go down here, and I think we're going to want to use the Vampiric Strikes. Let's get a little bit of energy, and then go ahead and use Vampiric Strike to heal back a little bit more. Alright, we're almost healed back up to full, so it's good. Gotta definitely pay attention to everybody's health. Alright, let's move this guy. Let's see. The camp will heal us a little bit if we stand in at the end of the turn. And we're going to go ahead and use the protection on the tank. And then I think also heal the tank, because he's got a lot of taunts up, so he should be taking the majority of the incoming fire. Then like before, we're going to do our axe toss. We don't necessarily care about this guy getting weakened. He's not kind of a primary damage dealer, just get a little bit of extra damage in early. Alright, so now we've got this guy. Let's see. Who has the most debuffs? I think we're okay. I think we just wanna heal the tank here. So if we move down, we can get heal on the tank and then move back a little bit and get another shield. You never have too many shields. Make sure the tank stays alive. If he goes down, we are in trouble. Ooh, this guy lost taunt again. We gotta keep reapplying that. So we will do that. This should taunt both of these enemies here. Then I'm a little bit worried about this guy up here. Yeah, he gets a turn and he's not taunted. That's a little bit scary. So this does put us out in the open. We do have a decent amount of shield, so let's just go ahead and use cleave here. get the taunt on that enemy. Alright, that did eat up most of our damage shields, but that's okay. Alright, it is our barbarian's turn again, so let's see if we can't take this guy out. I'm going to go back with the basic attack, generate some energy, and let's see, can cleave? Okay, cleave should kill him, so let's move into a position here where we can damage both of these enemies. You can see there's a little icon there showing that we should be able to defeat this enemy here. And yes, so we even got a crit. Ooh, these enemies are definitely dealing some damage. Our barbarian is very close to dying. We do have some resurrect items here, so don't worry too much. If units die, you can resurrect them, although these items are relatively rare, so you don't want to just use them up super willy-nilly. Let's see, the Nomad gets a turn soon, so we do want to get our barbarian back up. We have a special action here. We're definitely going to do that. Get a little AoE heal going on. And then, again, I think we're just going to try to generate some energy here. Alright, and now it is our support guy's turn. And so I think he's going to move in and use his AoE heal. Just gets a little bit stronger. Try to get the barbarian's health up here. And then again, kind of get him out of harm's way as much as we can, but also get the shield up over here, so hopefully the barbarian can survive another attack. Let's see. Yes, no problems there. Alright, we need to go around. This guy is taunted for one more turn. This guy is not taunted, so let's go ahead and get our taunt on here. Now you are taunted, and also let's see this. Our taunting bolts expires at the end of the turn, so we will not have our taunt on attack starting next turn, but for now we do. This guy, he is about to get another turn, so let's see. When is this guy? Oh, he gets a turn soon as well. That could be a decent amount of incoming damage. So I think what I'm going to do here is drop a health potion over on our barbarian there, bring him back up. And let's see, can we get to a useful terrain? Not really. Alright, so I think we will just try to put taunt and weak. This is the one whose taunt ends soon, right? Yeah, one turn. So let's go ahead and put some suppressive fire up here. Hopefully it crits. Oh, it does not crit even with the bonus. But that just is what it is. Alright, we got the meteors coming down again. Alright, we got a lot of units that are taking some damage for sure. Let's see if maybe we can't kill one of these guys. We're going to use our adrenaline burst here. Let's see, this guy's at 124, this guy's at 107, and importantly, he has the Sunder debuff on him, so that lowers his physical resistance. So you can see here, this guy's got 22% physical resistance, so this guy's 0. So if I were to try and double strike here, we're doing 24 damage, versus if we do it over here, we're doing 31. So quite a big difference there. We do have 36 energy, so we're going to want to try to burst this guy down if we can. We don't have great terrain to go to, so we'll just kind of move over here. Let's see, hopefully this does about 60. Oh, double crit. There's the luck coming in. Just obliterated that guy. All right, let's see if we can finish it off with the Reeve, potentially. And he's down, and we have won the map. So we don't need to kind of clean up the rest of the enemies. I think it was kind of a foregone conclusion once we dwindled their numbers down. And so we have won our first battle here. With that, we kind of go to the end of the battle screen, and we can see how each of our units did. Not surprising, Conan here did the vast majority of the damage. But you can also see Garen did some mitigation, did some healing, did some damage. The killing blows were split, relatively evenly amongst the rest of the units. You can kind of see how each of the units did, or what they were contributing. Obviously, the healers aren't going to be doing as much damage, doing more healing, but each of these things are valuable, right? So it's not just the damage or just the healing or just the mitigation, kind of all of them matter. If we want, we can go back and look at the different modifiers that we had to deal with. You can kind of just see the MVP for this one was good old Conan with his eye patch. All right, and so now we go back to the world map here. We've kind of moved forward in time, and so now we're going to write another journal entry about the things that we just saw in that map. And so you can kind of see that right out as we go through. All right, and after this is done, We can see that reports are still coming in about the goblin attacks. That's kind of the main threat that we're dealing with. But at the same time, we had the company spread out across a fairy petal glade, each of us searching for anything of value among the flowers. It wasn't long before someone called out they had found something useful. I also stumbled into what seems to be an abandoned laboratory. The room was full of assorted potions and various containers. I couldn't stand the mess, so I tidied up the lab. Buried under the clutter, I found a hard hat. So you can kind of see like what we did in battle translates into what the journal entries here are. And this will kind of play out with the different story elements, all the things that are kind of happening. You can kind of read what's going on here in your journal. Now that we finished a battle, we can go back to the shop. There's new stuff for us to buy. We can also go over to our stats, and we've gained some points. Aelith here had her auto level up set up, so she automatically allocated her points. If we look at like Conan and some of the rest of our characters that we did not do auto level up for, we kind of have to go in here and manually level them up. So for Conan, I think we'll give him some of these brute force nodes that increase the strength and physical damage. Similarly over here, let's go this way, get him some more physical damage. Our marshal over here, we did already do the auto level up, so we don't necessarily have to do anything with him. Our chaplain, I think we're going to level up some more healing on the staff side, maybe a little bit more damage on the axe side, so we can kind of do damage and do some healing. And so I think, we've got all of the different skill points used, and so you can see that there are some of these bigger points that will do different effects. Some of them might be good for some specs, or maybe not useful for other specs. So kind of see where you want to allocate your points to get the best kind of stat distribution, but also go for the effects that you think are going to be most useful for your build, and how they kind of synergize with the relics that you're using, and then the talents that you have. So because we leveled up, we now have a couple of talents to allocate. For strike here, we can make it cause bleeding damage. We can increase the range, or we can make it apply taunt. And so for Conan the Barbarian here, I think we're going to want to do bleed damage. But on the Marshal here, who we did already have auto level up, so these are kind of filled in for us, but just to make sure that, yes, he has the challenge talent that will cause his attacks to apply taunt. We definitely want that because he's kind of our tank. And then for Aelith, yes, we already did auto level up there. So we've got, we did not do auto level up with our chaplain here, so we want to make sure we can go in and just kind of pick the talents that we think are going to synergize the most for what we're trying to do with this character. In this case, let's maybe increase the range of his judgment attack. Maybe make his healing a little bit stronger if he heals the same target twice in a row. Let's see, Reeve. Yes, definitely let's get some range to Reeve, because we don't necessarily want this guy to be right in the melee all the time. And then for axe throw or axe hurl, let's use Crater. Have a chance to apply stuck to the primary enemy. But that's kind of the gist of it, right? After the battle, we do have a couple of items here. Ooh, we got an advanced item, Concussion Grenade. Let's give that to our tank. We got this, which gave us physical and magical damage. Let's put that on the chaplain. I think he does some physical. He doesn't do a ton of magic, but that's fine. We're going to want to put definitely want to use our Rune of Protection. The Speed Potion, maybe if we can't quite get in range. Let's put Healing Potions, definitely, because we were using those. Here, let's sort these real quick. So this is a relic that lets us duplicate another relic. I think I'm going to hold on to that for a little bit. We were using the bombs. Let's do that. Let's give the Speed Potion over here, and maybe just the Heavy Stone for now. We can also go back to the shop. Oh yes, we definitely want another snowball to create some frozen terrain. Let's maybe grab a potion and the net. Those will be super useful in the future. I don't know that I necessarily want any of these. Why don't we reroll the shop at least once? Let's grab another snowball. And the pickaxe is a fun one. As you're attacking, you kind of generate items in battle. So it'll help you get even more items. Yeah, why don't we go for that? Because I think we did have somebody who did not have relics equipped. Let's do that. Let's actually put some snowballs here so that we can spread some more of the frozen ground. And let's see, nothing to really change on the formation side. We've applied all of, oh no, we haven't. So let's pick some talents here. Make sure everybody has full talents. And everybody has used their skill points. So now we are ready to do the next battle. And so now we've got a choice between these two battles. This one being a portal battle, this one being another defeat all enemies. Why don't we do the portal battle? And we will leave that there.